Hello again. Here we are to continue our discussion of JavaScript. I'm going to pick up where I left off in the last video. I've got a document here linking to main.js, and this is my main.js file, and it's just got some generic kind of everyday JavaScript stuff going on. So let's talk about writing a function. So that's another thing that you'll do in JavaScript. You might write a conditional, like an if-else statement. You might also write a function. Imagine, this high score thing. My high score might change, or my score might change, and I might beat the high score at some point. So instead of writing this code over and over again, what I'd like to do is move it into a function where I can call on it, right? So I'm going to cut this out for a moment, type function, and then I'll say check score, right? As will be the name of my function, and I'll kind of format that there. And so anytime I want to call on the check score function, I can just call it like this, right? I'll say check score, and it'll check the score. And then what if I, gain some points here, and I said, score equals score. Actually, we can just do this. We can do plus equals, 200,000 points, right? And then, what I can do is I can check score again. So the first time I do the score, my score should be less than the high score, and it'll print this message down here. And then I'll add something to the score. And then the second time I check the score, my score should be here or back up here because it should be greater than, right? Let's give it a try. So we'll go to our page here, and you can see, oh, my score is 400,000. I didn't set a high score, and then I added some points, and now my score is here. Hey, maybe I should create a function to show the score, right? Because maybe I want to see what it is in between these two lines, right? So, we can make a function for that too. I've got this line here. Why don't we say function show score, and we'll move this thing inside here like that. And then we can say, show score. So now we're kind of writing a program here. We'll show the score, check the score, add some points, and then show the score and check the score one more time, right? So we'll refresh the browser again, and you can see here's my score now, 400,030. I didn't set the high score that time. I gained some points, 600,030. Oh, I've set the new high score. Okay. So that's pretty typical stuff. What else? Let's talk just a little bit about how JavaScript works. Let's do a for loop, right? So let's say for, right? Then JavaScript has a couple loops. There's also a while loop, and the for loop you can use in a couple forms, but often you'll see this one. We'll say variable I equals 0. Let's count while I is less than, 10, and then we'll do I++. So that means, add 1 to I. So we've got our var. We're giving it a default value or a starting value of 0, semicolon. We're gonna check the condition. So we're gonna keep looping as long as I is less than 10, semicolon, and then every time we loop, this is our increment, and we're going to add 1 to I. So the plus means add 1, right? And then we can console log the value of I. Well, there we go, right? So why don't we use the concatenator again? We'll say I equals, right? And then we'll save it. We'll test it here. And then you can see that I've got all the numbers showing up in the console. Don't worry, we'll do something where the stuff shows up in the actual browser window later, but there you go, 0 through 9, right? So our loop is looping until I gets up to 10, and then it's no longer less than 10, and it ends, right? Okay. Hey, JavaScript gets a little weird with numbers sometimes, okay? Let's do a couple just weird examples with numbers. I'm not going to make this an exhaustive thing, but just realize that this happens with JavaScript. It's sort of a quirk of the language. What if we change this, right? What if instead I started with 0 and I wanted to count while I was less than 10, but instead of adding 1, like a whole number every time, what I want to do is I want to add, 0.1. Okay, right? So there we go. So now it should count like 100 times, right? In increments of 0.1, right? So we'll save that. And then we'll refresh. oh wait, I made a mistake there. Look, my loop is going to run forever there. Let's see here. I got to do I plus equals. There we go. I plus equals 0.1. Okay, let's go back to our browser, which is running forever. Let's refresh it again. Oh man, did I get this thing stuck? Let's do it again. Wait, let's close that window and we'll open it up again here. There we go, right? Okay. Sorry about that. There we go. Now I fixed it, right? Okay. So and then my fan is speeding up because I did too many loops there. Anyway, everybody does that, or I do that, okay? But anyway, look at the numbers here, okay? So you'll notice, like, you're probably thinking, you know, why is that thing running there? Anyway, I'm not going to worry about it. But you'll see here, it says 0.2, and then it says 0.3. Like, we added 0.1, right? But why do we get 0.3000004 and then 0.4567? That's fine. But then 0.8 doesn't exist, but we get 0.79999. This has something to do with the way the computer calculates numbers in, you know, binary, right? So, you know, it kind of has this rounding thing where, you know, the numbers don't always round off to the whole number, right? So so just know that about JavaScript. Sometimes you'll get these odd numbers here, and you can always round them off, you know, however you want to round them off, but you'll need to do that in some cases. And you can see, like, it gets a little funny down in here, like, why is that? Why not 0.4 or 9.4, right? But anyway, know that that happens, okay? Let's do another example, right? So another example, what if we do this? What if we say console.log, and you know what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to comment this out just for the moment, right? And what if we say console log, and then we said 2 plus 2? Okay, so that should be, you know, 4 like this, right? So I'll refresh, and then we get 4. I can see it at the very bottom here. Okay, let's do another one. What if we say console.log, and this time we say a string 2 plus 2, okay? Now, a lot of languages, you know, might not allow this, you know, or they might give you a compiler error. Remember, JavaScript's not compiled, like nothing happens here, you know, and nothing happens with JavaScript until we actually get it into the browser and the browser actually executes it. So what does this add up to be? Well, let's do this, right? What if we say, we go to the browser here and we refresh, it says 22, right? Well, actually that kind of makes sense, right? Because it's going to combine this string with this other number, and it actually converts the number to a string. So we get 22. Well, actually it's, you know, it's this, right? Okay, let's do another one. So we'll do console log. What if we did this one, right? 2 times 2. I wonder what this will produce, right? So we'll save that, and then we'll refresh it again. That actually produces 4. So you can see, like, in some cases, you know, JavaScript is willing to convert a string to a number, and in other cases, it's willing to convert a number to a string. There's a couple, you know, other situations like that, but I'll just leave this one for you to work with, just for fun, just so you know that that's there. Let's do another one. What if I make a variable here, and I call it, how about test? There we go, right? And I don't give it a value. Okay, let's console log test, right, and see what it says, right? So when we don't have a value in a variable, what do we get, right? Because that'll happen, right? It's a pretty common situation. Let's refresh. Undefined. So actually, undefined in JavaScript is a value. It's a valid value that you can use, and you'll see it show up. So when something doesn't have a value, JavaScript will tell you undefined, right? What if you did this? What if you said console log, and then you said, you know, test plus 3? Wonder what that is, right? So we'll give that a quick refresh. NaN. So nan, or not a number, is also a valid value, different from undefined. Okay, so JavaScript, when you have a numeric value that you try to compute, but JavaScript is telling you like, hey, you know what, I can't make a number out of this. It will give you a nan, and you can actually test for nan. Okay, so in some cases you might want to, test. There's a function called isNan, right? Okay, but anyway, so there's a couple weird situations with JavaScript and how JavaScript works with numbers. Okay, so just be aware that that's there. But that's just the way JavaScript is. And let me do one last example, right? What if I said var and I said, like I got var test and I said test equals 33. And then I said console log one more thing, right? So what if we say console log test, right? So, this should just say, 33. But what if I did this? What if right after that I said test equals, hi, right? Like this. And then I say console dot log, test again, right? Okay, so there's no errors here. Remember, it's not compiled. If you were in Swift or you were doing some compiled language, or in a type-safe language, the compiler would give you a problem. It would say like, hey, test, you've declared it as a number, and then now you're trying to set a string in it, and you can't do that because it can't really change. JavaScript doesn't care. So, if you set test to a number, then it can be a number. If you set test to a string later on, then it can be a string. This loose typing, or not even typing at all, is just the way JavaScript works. I guess on some levels it's kind of unsafe, and it has these problems that can come up. And then again, on another level, it just makes things kind of simple and easy. You don't really have to worry about the types. But that's just the way JavaScript is. Okay. So anyway, I hope this is informative and gives you some ideas on how you might work with JavaScript, the console, and numbers. And thanks for watching.